Hello guys, welcome back to another Boom Beach tutorial video. Today I'm going to be talking about the statue storage, when to use it, when you shouldn't use it, and what should you store in it, and how to use it. So let's get started with this Boom Beach tutorial. So let's start off with a few basics. You unlock the statue storage at HQ level 13, and it will unlock at level 1. Every time you upgrade the level, you'll gain 1 extra slot into storage. So there's a max of 5 levels, which means I could hold 5 slots in my statue storage. As of currently, this might change in the future of the update. An update might bring out an extra level or something like that. And I just want to remind you guys, this is all my opinion, but I'm just giving you tips to help you improve in the game. So the most important thing to note with the statue storage is it is a one-way trip, which means I cannot take a statue that is already deployed and I cannot put it back into my storage. If I hit the eye, nothing happens. I can remove it, but I'm not even gonna mess with that. I believe it gives you a prompt, but I am not sure for sure. So I just don't want to do that because I love that statue. That statue took me so long to create. And then I could also boost it, but I don't want to. So there's no option to put it back into your statue storage. So that's how it works. But you could deploy a statue from your statue storage. I could hit deploy here, but I have my statue limit is already reached, so I cannot drop another statue. That's what I mean by when I say that's a one-way trip. So if you go into your sculpture, you could place any type of statue you want, any life, ice, magma, or dark crystals. You could put any of those statues into the statue storage. It could be an idol, guardian, or masterpiece. Any statue that you can build, you could put into it. So it'll just come up here. I'll just hit store. That's the only way you could put statues into your statue storage. If I hit on here, you could see now that the iron production 8% is in here. I could deploy it or I could salvage it. I'm going to salvage it because that is a waste of a slot. Now, when I say a waste of a slot, that is very important to note. You only have a limited amount of slots, and I would love to have more slots. I would love to have unlimited slots, but you only have a certain amount of slots, so you cannot waste your slots. So I've talked about this in the past. This is goes back to what statues you should have, the video. Basically, you should either have all offensive statues or some defensive statues. If you are pushing, I would not recommend having defensive statues if you are not pushing. So if you are pushing, have defensive statues. If you are not pushing, do not have defensive statues. That's as simple as it goes. Whichever one of those you are, you're going to take the opposite of that and store into your storage. So let's say I'm pushing and I have all these blue defensive statues. Well, I'm going to store offensive statues into my statue storage. Now, let's say I'm not pushing and I have all offensive statues. I'm going to store all my defensive statues into my statue storage. Now, there is a few exceptions to this rule, like Power Stone Chance Guardians or Power or Resource Reward Guardians. That's the dark crystal, not the life. If someone needs a lot of loot, if you are newer to Boom Beach, I would just say get a lot of Resource Reward statues. It's going to help you in the long run. If you are not that active, definitely get those Resource Reward statues. I'm not a big fan of Power Stone Chance statues, although I do have a masterpiece here. I'm not a big fan of the Guardians. Some people like them, but I personally do not like them. So why do you want to take the opposite and put it into your statue storage? Well, if you're not pushing, I do not recommend having defensive statues built on your map, but in the future you might push for the leaderboards. So that's why I say store ice crystals or store ice statues into your storage, because if you are ever going to start pushing, it's going to save you so much time to have the best statues already built into the statue storage. Now let's say you're not pushing. Personally, I'm not pushing currently, so I'm going to store all these ice statues in here. But let's say you are pushing. So you're pushing for the leaderboards, you have a bunch of blue defensive statues on your map because that's how you push in Boom Beach. You'd want to store offensive statues. For the most part, I would say pretty much all the time, you'd want to have offensive statues, because if you were ever to stop pushing, it's so much easier to reclaim all of those ice statues and then deploy all of those offensive statues, then slowly swapping them one for one. So the reason I have is damage 13% in my storage, and the reason I'm going to get more damage 13% in my storage is eventually I might switch out. I'm probably never going to push, but it's always a good idea for me to have these two statues in here, these two masterpieces. I might eventually reclaim the defensive building. I'm probably never going to push, so that's why I have this. Eventually I'm gonna want to try to replace all of my statues with just damage, and that would be so fun to watch, like fully damaged. So that's why I have that statue in there. I wouldn't normally tell people to store stuff like that in. That's an exception to the rule, of course. So it's just kind of like there's a general rule that you should follow, but if you want, you could disobey it. I mean, if you have an exception to it. So I hope you guys definitely learned something from this video and you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to drop a like as always. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.